Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Digital Media Sync. It is Tuesday, February 16th. It's raining, but here we are. So today is just going to be really general. We're going to talk about some digital media and social media trends and kind of see what was predicted and then what is actually going on in the digital media world. But first, I am going to let you know a couple of other things that are going on later in the week. So I am actually broadcasting from home, but this is a known co-working, known live stream event. Known co-working is at 139 Orange Street, right in the Ninth Square of New Haven. And there are two other known co-working, known live programs. And one that is coming up is on Friday, the 19th at 12:30 p.m. and it's Connection Corner, which is hosted by Barb Nangle. And the topic is going to be 1 million candles by 2030, lighten up hope for nephrotic syndrome. So on Friday, you'll meet Jordan, the co-founder of a Little Soy Candle Company, which formed to help with a rare kidney condition that their daughter has. Hear their story of having to shut down the business and reopen due to demand. And then learn about their goal to sell 1 million candles by 2030 to bring hope to those with nephrotic syndrome. So that's on Friday. But then also on Friday at noon, I will be joining the New Haven Free Public Library, and I'll be talking about one of the tools that they have available for free, which is SEMrush. Now, if you don't know what SEMrush is, it's a very robust, very powerful tool. And I'm going to be talking about three things that you can do with SEMrush. The first one being looking at your own SEO and how your website stacks up with other websites. And then the second is going to be, we're going to be talking about content creation and content curation. So SEMrush has like a really amazing content curation tool that you can use. And then the third is going to be looking at your competitors. So we'll be looking at how to very simply utilize the tool. This is something that the library has for free in their digital toolbox. So it's just, you just give them a call or an email, ask for a specific time to grab SEMrush and utilize it for looking at your website. All right, so I'm going to start the program and I'm going to start sharing my screen. And hopefully I know which tab this is. So this is a tool or an online publication that I've used for years and years, and it's Social Media Today. Is it up? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to probably put it like, have it fill up the screen. Cool. So we'll talk about it here. So it's 7 digital marketing trends of focus for 2021, and this was published in January 5th, and I know it's February. So it'll be interesting to see some of the things that they're talking about. I looked at this a little bit before yesterday when I came on. So we're going to take a look at what that looks like. So I actually didn't see if we talked about, here we go. So this is something, if Zeph is watching, she's going to say that this is absolutely a trend, no doubt about it. Live streams and an increase in influencer content. So stay-at-home orders mean events were canceled and consumers were unable to attend in-person events. They weren't even able to socialize with their friends and family. This led to an uptick in the number of people tuning into live streams, whether it was brand live streams, a live video from their favorite celebrity, or online workshop. So here's some statistics on Facebook, which is where I am right now, as well as on YouTube, live viewing spiked by 50% during the lockdown periods, while viewers on Instagram surged 70%, and then TikTok use shot up in 2020. And there's a good chance that we're going to continue to see this upward trajectory continue to play out in 2021. So basically, everybody has utilized the Facebook live stream feature, the Instagram live stream feature. They don't mention Twitter. They have a live stream feature as well. And the other interesting thing is the use of YouTube as a live stream. So that'd be interesting to get those numbers. Human-driven content like influencer live streams can create trust and tap into the in-the-moment connection that 2020 consumers craved. So, and that's something that we think is still going to happen even this year, because we're probably going to have like another 6 months of physical distancing of some sort. The other thing that really got going during the pandemic was Amazon Live. Influencers took to the platform to promote their favorite products during live events. What's more, the live streams were shoppable, which meant viewers could make purchases while they were watching. So it sounds like this is something that larger brands have access to, but us little folks perhaps do not. So NYX Pro Makeup ran a promotion where they invited influencers to live stream makeup tutorials for their annual Pride celebrations. All right, the second of the 7 that's listed here in social media today: more goodwill and purpose-driven missions from brands. So this is what happened in 2020. At the core of this is the need for transparency. It's impossible for consumers to connect with brands they see as shady or as insincere. And I think now more so than ever, I know one area for me personally, where I was always wondering if certain organizations or products were sketchy, is just the influx of masks being sold and advertised on Facebook and Instagram, most specifically where I was viewing. And one of the things that I noticed was, well, first of all, I always tried to purchase from local business people or local people in general who handmade their masks. But when I was looking at brands, I was always looking at brands that I recognized, and there was a lot of brands that I did not recognize. So I kind of passed that advertising by. So back to the article. It's impossible for consumers to connect with brands they see as shady or insincere. Why would they want to invest in something they can't trust or don't believe in? This is why connection will be pivotal for brands that want to remain trusted sources in 2021. Now more than ever, brands are having to dig deep to find out how to flourish in turbulent times. A report from Deloitte states that to do this, brands need to be deeply attuned to why they exist and who they are built to serve. And this is something that I and my fellow branding experts and branding practitioners are always saying, no matter what the year is, that it's really important to understand what your mission is, what your vision is, and who is it that you're really serving. So if you look at any of my other videos, at some point, this is a mantra. So at some point, I'm going to be saying that. We're no strangers to seeing brands do good things, but there will be an even bigger influence and emphasis on this next year. We'll see more brands running campaigns like Hilton's Hotels for Heroes, where they gave away free rooms to medical workers, or Chanel's contribution to the pandemic, where they tasked their seamstresses with making face masks. So this is a way that not only brands pivoted, but they also pivoted in a manner where they're doing good. So I'm going to actually take this article and I'm going to put it into the chat so that everybody can see it later, even after this particular episode is over. Okay, so here's the Hilton. We've partnered with American Express to donate up to 1 million room nights so that healthcare heroes can keeping us safe, can have a comfortable place to stay between shifts and protect their families back home. Okay, UGC to enhance the customer experience. So that means UGC is user-generated content, and I'm glad that they didn't put UGC to enhance the CX. So CX is customer experience, and UGC is user-generated content. Customer experience has never been more important. Customers crave enjoyable experiences with brands that are easy and memorable. They want proof before they buy, and they want to be reassured. After all, no one wants to make the wrong decision. So this is another area where, we can go into stores, but the shopping experience is definitely not the same. Oftentimes, when you go into some stores, I know that they say pick up only the item that you're going to buy, and that's not always the experience. Many retail stores, that's not the case, but in some it is. So user-generated content ticks all the boxes when it comes to connective content. It builds and strengthens communities. It's relatable and uplifting. It enables brands to meet customers where they're already hanging out. And it helps brands generate tons more content against the backdrop of stay-at-home orders and restrictive measures. So UGC has long been an effective way for brands to forge relationships with their customers and provide social proof. And this will be a common theme in 2021 as well. All right, an emphasis on sustainability. So here's another statistic. 81% of consumers strongly feel that companies should help improve the environment. 81%. It's a number that's not surprising. And over the past couple of years, we've seen shifts in brands moving towards a more sustainable future, whether it's through the materials they use, the packaging, their systems, or something else. The hunt for a greener planet continues, and consumers are actively seeking out brands that are purpose-driven and conscious about the environment. As the world remains a fragile place, it will be key for brands to reiterate their sustainability in 2021. So an example, the ocean cleanup is a great example of a brand that's done this well. In late October, they presented their first product made solely from plastic collected from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So there's actually, this is not funny, there's actually a location called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch because there's so much plastic garbage. They used TINT, T-I-N-T, to share the announcement, which outlined how the brand will continue to use recycled products from the ocean to create beautiful, sustainable products. And a full circle turn of events, the revenue generated from the products will be pumped back into the brand's cleanup campaign. So here they've utilized a video to talk about the product unveiling, and it looks like it's a pair of sunglasses. Inclusivity will be key, and this one is kind of touchy because when we're talking about inclusivity, it's not I'm going to say right now for me, it's not a marketing ploy and shouldn't be used as one. It should really be thought of from the perspective of a larger lens and how a company actually creates a culture and maintains that culture as well. But I'm going to read this as far as it talks about being a trend. So inclusivity also became a bigger focus in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement highlighted endemic issues that linger within various elements of society. A study by Accenture shows that the cultural shifts towards inclusivity is also impacting purchasing behavior, with 41% of shoppers shifting away from retailers who don't reflect their views on identity and diversity. And 29% are willing to switch brands completely if they don't show enough diversity. Brands that are seen to be non-inclusive or who don't appear to be part of the inclusivity conversation will likely see impacts in 2021. On the flip side, brands which openly showcase their involvement in inclusive causes will reap the benefits and drive deeper connections with their buyers. Again, I would be really careful about just simply marketing diversity and inclusivity and using them as just dropping them as terms, and actually thinking about what your organization is and how it's utilized, and making sure that it is inclusive and that it is diverse. I know that there have been cases where there have been specific roles that have been brought into, people brought into the company, and they were supposed to be making changes in the company, and those changes were not implemented, and that person or that team was not given the support that they needed, and they left. So that's definitely something to think about beyond a marketing or simply a marketing ploy. All right, moving on. So I had to put my 2 cents in there. Increase in voice and visual search. So an increased number of consumers are searching via voice-activated tools like Alexa. Perhaps that's due to people having to be stuck at home with limited opportunities for conversation, or perhaps it's simply because this type of technology is more readily available. About 1 in 4 American homes has a smart speaker of some kind. So interestingly enough, with all the technology that I'm around, I don't have one. I don't have an Alexa, I don't have a Siri, I don't have a, I don't know what the other name is. It's a small home. I can just, I don't know, get up and do something myself or look at the computer, whatever. But it's not just voice search that will prevail in 2021. We can also expect other creative search methods to rise to the top, like visual search. So tools like Google Lens enable consumers to search for whatever they can see. This means marketers will need to focus even more on image alt text and site maps for images. Over the next year, visuals will become increasingly important in the SEO game. Okay, so I want to stop here for just 1 minute and talk to you about image alt text and site maps for images. So the simple way of saying this is you take a picture and it's assigned a series of letters and numbers, right? DCS or DSC, 335, whatever. So it's just a bunch of numbers. It doesn't describe the picture at all, the photo at all. Or if you download something, and I was just talking about this to a client of mine, and I've also talked to a couple of other people when they were saying that they were going to launch their website. If you have images, make sure that when you name those images, that you give it a very descriptive name, right? So instead of, 2 women sitting at a table, it could be 2 women sitting in a restaurant at a table waiting for their food. Maybe not that long, but something that's pretty descriptive so that the search engines can find the image and start tagging it and placing it up. So it's going to be profitable to retail customer experience estimates that by 2021, early adopters that redesign their website to support visual and voice search will increase their digital commerce revenue by 30%. So I'm thinking, and tell me in the comments whether you're watching this live or not, if this is something that we want to go over in Digital Media Sync. And I'm also thinking for digital business success that we talk about what to utilize for SEO, both in images and voice search and other methods besides just copy. Okay, so easy to consume content. 2020 also saw people leaning on easy to consume content, things like podcasts that can be consumed on the go, or newsletter that land directly in the subscribers' inboxes. Studies show that 55% of Americans now listen to podcasts, while newsletter mentions were up 14% during lockdown. So just anecdotally, one of the questions that I always see on social media, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or even LinkedIn, is people asking for podcast recommendations. They're talking about, I've listened to this and that. What should I listen to next? What is something that is going to be valuable in some way? So whether it's learning or news or interesting topics, I know that podcasts are definitely pretty huge. So advertisers are spending more on podcasts, and this is a yearly chart. So it starts at 2018 and it's projecting into 2021 and 2022. So it's 18, 19, and 2020 are the first three, and then the second two are just the amount of growth. Advertisers are spending more on podcasts, which is a hint to their continued success in 2021. Convenient and readily available content like podcasts and newsletters will help brands connect more deeply with customers and provide a more intimate way to stay in touch. So just again, another thing about newsletters, and I know that a lot of you may be saying, well, I hear that people don't open their emails, or they'll hit this, the newsletters will be in a spam folder and we can't find them. So again, this is based on relationships with your customers and with your prospects, right? So when you are thinking about running a newsletter, you're thinking about first the connection, right? Are you already somewhat connected to your audience in such a way that they'll actually want and understand what's going to be in that newsletter, right? The other thing that you want to think about is consistency. So if you're promising something from a newsletter, and again, that's something that you really have to think about as well, the conversation. You are going to do X, Y, Z. When you send that newsletter out, it's going to have one thing, three things that your consumer really wants or needs. So making sure that you have that. And that's something that we always talk about with our clients at Agents of Branding too, is when a client is like, well, I want to send out a newsletter, I don't know where to start or what to do. So obviously to think about, again, this is something that I say, I think in every digital media saying, is understanding who your audience is first and what their needs are. And then just like with products or services, the newsletter is going to address those needs. And the thing to think about is to be consistent with addressing those needs and understanding that you're thinking about and talking about other people's time as well. So A, they're going to want to open up that newsletter, and B, the thing that's in that newsletter is going to be valuable to them in some way. So convenient and readily available content like podcasts and newsletter will help brands connect more deeply with customers and provide a more intimate way to stay in touch. So this is Nisolo, and it's saying take a leaf out of Nisolo's book. They use their newsletter to connect with customers, the word I just used, and check in with them before providing relevant resources that may help them in turbulent times. So this is just basically saying, hey, we wanted to check in to see how our community is feeling. And then it talks about, instead of what's going on with them, they're actually checking in with what is going on with the reader. So we know it's been a wild couple of weeks, especially here in Nashville with the tornado followed by the coronavirus. But one thing that brought us hope is how our community, near and far, is coming together during times. So really being connected to what's going on around that brand in their particular community. Then they start talking about what they're doing. Our team, so a whole paragraph later, our team is working remotely in Nashville, doing our part to slow the curve. We're 95% direct to consumer online, so we'll be open for business. Whether it's coming from a strong will to keep pressing forward or simply desiring a glimpse of normalcy, we've heard that many of you, again, redirecting it back to the consumer, want to continue hearing from us about our new releases and sustainability in the fashion industry through these crazy times. We recognize that some of you may not quite be there. We want to be sensitive to that reality. For those who would like a break from your inbox, let us know, and we'll pause your email subscription for a few weeks. Just reply to this email and we'll take care of it. Regardless of the position you take, we hope that each of you are able to take a break, find inspiration, and lean into the opportunity to slow down a bit. Okay, so this is really very closely addressing the needs of the consumer, their particular consumer. In the meantime, here's a little advice, some entertainment, and a guide to keep moving. So they offer 3 choices that have nothing to do with their actual product. Advice for working remotely, 12 conscious series to binge watch, and 20-minute yoga flow. So this apparently is very connected to their brand as well. And I'm sure all of this content is on their website. So they're actually also watching and seeing how their clients or customers are interacting with their current content. And then they'll be addressing those needs from there. All right, so this is the end of this particular article, and I'm keeping an eye on the time as well. So it's saying, are you ready for 2021? The unpredictable nature of 2020 has forced brands to think long and hard about how they connect with their customers. Shop closures and stay-at-home orders mean people were stuck inside, which also meant that they were spending a lot more time online. So this has pushed brands to branch out and create more human-centric ways of reaching their buyer. Over the next 12 months, we'll see this continue. So again, live streams will become increasingly common. Purpose-driven brands that champion sustainability will rise to the top, and user-generated content, UGC, will remain an integral part of every marketing strategy. And I think we see this, even in right here in New Haven locally. There's organizations and businesses that are utilizing and even organized areas, kind of like the chamber or, I think it's called the New Haven. Now I can't remember. But anyways, so businesses are really doing a lot to do their best to have a customer-centric, as much of an experience as possible, even with having to be closed or have limited hours. What they're doing online is connecting through doing just what I'm doing right now. So an example, even known co-working is an example. We are open. People are going to the offices at known. We do have dedicated desks available. The capacity is decreased in that we have to distance and wear masks. So we're in the space, but not as many people are in the space and there's not as much congregation. So how do we connect with people? And the way that we've been doing it is having these online known live events where we're providing information and inspiration as well, right? People are telling their stories on Connection Corner, And people are talking about their business experiences on Pivot Talk. And then, I'm providing information through Digital Media Sync, whereas I would be doing this in a boardroom or a meeting room or in any in-person location with people sitting around a table. And now the experience is online and bringing guests or having conversations and waiting for somebody to make a comment in the comment section. So we're doing it that way. And the other example would be the fact that we have real business related focused events as well. So one of the things that Known Co-working does is on Mondays for now, and we'll be adding more dates, Mondays from 4 to 5 p.m., we get into a room and we do virtual networking, and we solve real business problems. So for 1 hour, we have conversations as in person as we can get at the moment. And then the other thing that we're doing is Knownpreneurs, where right now we're helping 12 businesses in the New Haven area move forward, with their own goals. So these are all things that have really changed and shifted the way that Known Co-working works. I have changed the way that I work, obviously with Digital Media Sync. Again, we were in person, and now I cannot have the same in-person experience. So I go into a live stream experience. And even the way, that my business works, I spend a lot more time in Zoom rooms and on the phone and, any other kind of meeting room as well. And actually, interestingly enough, having more of a connection with my clients because I'm checking in with them more often because we don't have that face-to-face ability as much. So one of the trends that they did not mention, and I wanted to just bring up really quickly, is just the immense rise very, very quickly of the application Clubhouse. So even though, I'm going to try to get myself back on screen fully. There we go. So even though with Clubhouse, it's an application that right now is only on iOS. So it's only on Apple phone or an iPad. And people are actually scrambling to get an iPad, whether new or I actually scored a free one, an older iPad. So super cool. Thank you, Rick. And Clubhouse is actually it's audio based, right? So there's not even video, and people are spending a lot of time on Clubhouse, and it's because it's like a podcast in a way. You can listen in and sit in a room, a virtual room, and just listen to some of these gems that are being dropped by experts in every field that you could possibly imagine. It's also a networking tool. Again, it's all audio, but it's still a networking tool as people are given their elevator speeches and talking about their businesses. And then you can utilize it to create your own ecosystem as well. So that's something that I'd like to see probably in the next quarter. We'll go back and we'll look at what was predicted as trends in social media and digital marketing and see what has to be said about that particular tool as well. They talked a little bit about TikTok, which was relatively new and up and coming to start with. So there were some numbers that came in for that. And we'll see how TikTok does, because we're wondering, at least I'm wondering, if at some point, what is TikTok going to do in order to grow on its own, or is it going to be eaten up by another another social media platform. So that'd be interesting too. I think that's a question that I have for the crowd as well. Again, so that was 7 of the social media trends that are coming up. And a lot of it, I think, was just a reminder of what we should already be doing anyways, right? So even though there's been more in podcasting and more in newsletters, these are just things that have come up as being important in the time and something that I think a lot of marketers have always considered important. So that's something to ponder. And I'm going to be taking this and putting this on our website as well. And speaking of Clubhouse, I was joined a couple of weeks ago by Sammy Williams of Sam's Word, and also the collaboration of Minority Women Professionals and Letitia Douglas as well. And we talked about, actually, they talked about Clubhouse because they've been using it and I just have not, just as of yet. But there's definitely a push to do so. And there are other videos as well on nhvknown.com. So this one will be joining the, I think we have almost 40 videos. I'm going to have to take a look. On all different social media topics. So it's nhvknown.com. Go to the tab Digital Media Sync and you'll find all the videos, including this one with my beautiful dining room hutch behind me. So I will be talking to you next week. If you have any topics that you are interested in, whether you would like to present on these topics or you want to learn more about them, just go to the Known Co-working Facebook page or the Digital Media Sync group on Facebook or Digital Media Sync page on Facebook. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.